Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. On the podcast with us today is Bradley Smotherman. Bradley, welcome to the podcast.
Dan, great to be with you.
Well, Bradley, what I want you to do is I want you to first get us started and talk to us a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur and what your current focus is right now.
Yeah, so my background in entrepreneurship started pretty early, and I had a few pretty well failed businesses to begin with. I started a vending machine company when I was maybe 15, and I realized pretty early on I don't know how to fix those things, and they break all the time. So that kind of crashed and burned. And then a good friend of mine, probably my best friend even now, we started a pressure washing company back when we were 16, and it was just kind of like almost a hobby. You know, we did it part-time, and I had a couple websites that were e-commerce websites back during high school. But, I really kind of got serious about business when I was 17, and I woke up one day and decided to get my real estate license. And from there, I transitioned more into the investor side of things. I retired my license in 2010 just to do the investment side. And I've been having a lot of fun and success doing real estate investing since then.
Well, it sounds to me like the real estate investing is obviously, was really appealing to you. Did you, when you first got started in getting your license, so you said when you were 17, you got your license?
Well, I was 18 when I got licensed, but I applied for the school when I was 17, yes.
Okay. So when you first kind of thought about getting into real estate, what were some of the thoughts back in your head? Were you thinking that, later on down the road, you wanted to kind of be on the investing side, or were you at that time, were you more thinking about just kind of the realtor side?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that I ever had the intention to do the investing side instead of the sales side. So I remember whenever I first decided to get licensed, my main thought process was that I could get my real estate license and do that part-time and make as much income I had hoped as I could bartending or waiting tables and all of that. And I could learn an industry. So, and I'd always heard that more millionaires had been made through real estate than anything else. And I'm not sure if that's true today, but it was probably true then. And I thought, well, this is going to be a good thing to learn.
Well, let's talk about some of the tough decisions that you've had to make along the way, because I'm sure that along this journey, you've had many, many tough decisions. And I like to get us started with one that I call the sore thumb tough decision, which is a tough decision that you had to make as an entrepreneur that did not have that good of an outcome, but you did learn a lot of lessons through that particular outcome.
Yeah. And so with that, I made some money in real estate, and I decided, well, diversification is a good thing. And at least I thought that at the time. I personally don't really think that now. But I decided to open up a jiu-jitsu academy, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu academy. So that's something that I'd done as a hobby. And a friend of mine was opening up an academy. And I thought, well, this will be a good thing, a side income stream that I can have. And it was a residual revenue model and all of that. And I thought, well, we can do this. And so I made the decision to invest, and I invested time in it also. And the big problem was that I invested my time and energy and capital into someone that did not have a proven track record for being successful really in anything but jiu-jitsu. And so I'm kind of the opinion now, as far as the big lesson that I learned from that, is that if someone is approaching the second half of their life and they haven't really accomplished anything, that they're probably not going to the second half. And so that was a really good lesson to learn. And I've also kind of learned that partnerships are not for me. So I've had 3 partnerships in my life. One was like picture perfect. He bought me out, and he's still doing the business. That's going strong today. I had a second one that was kind of in the middle. We're still friends at the end of the day, but the parting was kind of a little bit bitter. And then I had the third one, which I just talked about. That was just a complete crash and burn kind of situation. So I definitely learned that partnerships are not what I need to do.
On the first one, when you were, bought out, was it a buy-in out because you decided that it was time for you to leave, or was it a bad buyout, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it was really a mutual thing, because I had decided that I could take the money and put it back into real estate and do better with it there. And he was going to make more money. So basically I owner financed my half of the business to him, and he made payments. And it was really the best of both worlds, because he did better after he bought it. I did better after he bought it. And it was just a great situation.
That makes sense. So, going through these 3 different partnerships, some, worked out okay, and the other ones probably not so much. What are maybe some things that you can give somebody as a tip? Obviously you mentioned, I don't do partnerships anymore because of it. But did you learn anything through those that made you kind of, think about if you were to go back into a partnership, how you might do it differently?
Yeah. And I think that the main thing that I would say is there has to be defined boundaries. So, in writing, have everyone's role laid out. And also, and this is probably as important, not only do you need to say what you're going to do, but also what you're not going to do. Because one of the main things that I had, I said from the beginning with my partners on the second partnership is, I'm not going to go to the office every day. I'm not an office person. Like, I'm not this micro detail oriented kind of guy. And one of the partners was kind of upset because he spent more time at the office than I did. And, so I definitely would recommend have the roles and also what you're not going to do laid out really, really clearly.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And, as we hear a lot about partnerships, if you don't have those clear defined roles, that's when, people think that they're spending more time on the business than the other person. And there's just like this disconnect. And, you have to make sure that there is that balance. And, obviously, with partnerships, it's kind of like a marriage. I mean, you're pretty much going to be with that person probably more than your own spouse because of, the nature of business in general. So it's a very important decision to make. And, it is one of those things that you don't want to just, act lightly on, because I've even seen partnerships where people have been, good friends for 20, 30, 40 years, and they get into business together in a matter of months. They're like at each other's throats and they have a falling out and they're not friends anymore,
Right. And it's not worth it. I mean, it's like if you have that kind of relationship with somebody, it's not worth it to lose it over money.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And, you have to make sure you make those decisions. I mean, I do the same thing with family, whether it be a friend or family member. I've seen it happen with family members, even as, more than I have with just friends,
Oh, yes.
You definitely don't want to do that with family. Yeah. You definitely don't want to have to always be, going to a family gathering and having that in the back of your head and stuff like that. If you don't have to, obviously there's certain, unique situations and stuff like that things like that work. But, we're talking about more of a rule of thumb, not necessarily the end all be all as it may,
100%.
So let's pivot here a little bit and talk about another tough decision that you've had to make as an entrepreneur that had a really good and positive outcome and some of those lessons.
So being a real estate investor is not so much about real estate as it is about marketing, negotiation, and deal structure. And so marketing comes first. So it's really a marketing business in a lot of ways. And the decision that I really had to make was, am I really going to do this business or not? And so I had done some deals and I had my first decent bit of cash come into the business. And this was in 2015. And so my wife and I, as our 5th year anniversary, we went to Maui to celebrate that. And the whole time I had really bad jet lag. So I'd get up at 2 a.m. There's a 24-hour Starbucks at the hotel. And I just had some of the best time of my life drinking Starbucks there, thinking am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? And I really made that decision. So, and I hate to say this publicly, but it's the truth. So after maybe, 6 or 7 Mai Tais, I decided to invest a significant amount of cash in marketing. And so I spent $15,000 and I got 0 deals from that. But I learned so much about what I didn't know from that 15 grand in marketing that I knew how much I had missed. And so I was like, double down, we're going to do this. I spent another 15 and that 15 hit. And so that's what really kind of began to catapult my business, because we began to buy serious equity positions and cash all of that out.
Well, it's definitely a unique, process. So what was it about the Mai Tais?
Man, I just didn't have it in me to spend 15 grand. I'd never spent, I don't know, never is a big word. I don't think I'd ever spent 15 grand on anything at that time. It's like I never really bought a nice car. I'd never really bought anything. And to spend $15,000 on something that may or may not pay off was really difficult, man. And, and it comes down to doubt and belief and commitment. It's like, if you have the commitment that you're going to see it through, it doesn't really matter about the short-term problems, right? But I had a lot of doubt, and doubt cramps energy. I mean, it's a real problem, but I had to have those Mai Tais, man, to do it. Cause I remember having my iPad out. It's like hitting process that payment. And it's just like, man, it hurt. But I was like, well, we're going to do this.
So what did you do from the marketing perspective?
So all of that was direct mail. So I spent 15 grand on direct mail, and that was roughly about 4 months worth of mail. So I prepaid 4 months worth, and that was a mix between what we call yellow letters, which kind of look like handwritten yellow pad paper, asking if they want to sell the house, postcards, zip letters, and I think maybe a jumbo postcard.
And from that first 15,000, you were able to kind of, things started to hit and it started to really launch off the business.
Well, the first 15,000, I realized I didn't know what I didn't know. But by the end of it, I had realized all of the transactions I had missed along the way because I really didn't know what I was doing. But it got me through the learning curve. So the next 15,000 we did super well with.
Okay. That's awesome. That's cool to kind of hear that kind of a story. When you're facing some of these kind of tough decisions that you have in business, what are some of the strategies that you use to be able to kind of help yourself make some of these tough decisions?
So I think having mentors is incredibly important. I'm not a big fan of the mastermind kind of idea. I do like that to a point, but I think a mentor is more important. So you want a mentor that has been down that road because they can cut your learning curve down dramatically. I mean, drastically, they'll cut that down. So if you have a mentor that you can go with, someone that you know and you like and you trust, that you believe has good decision-making ability, that they can really take you that direction. And so I have a couple of mentors that I can get advice from. And so once I get that advice, I really want to spend some time by myself and quiet. Because if you haven't already been able to tell, my mind kind of goes pretty quickly. Okay. So even if I'm by myself, my mind is constantly thinking about this deal or this marketing or this issue or whatever, right? Like it's constantly like running on the business. And so if I have a problem and I can get myself into quiet to kind of like slow some of that down, then I'm going to make good decisions. The other thing that I'll say is we can't be in a state of stress to make good decisions because there's a lot of studies that have shown that if you're in a state of stress, that it really shuts down the decision-making capability of the brain because it shuts down logic, okay? So we want to be kind of relaxed in a quiet position where we're able to slow down. Those decisions will come. They'll come to you.
We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to go through a series of quick questions and answers that we call the trifecta when we come back. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. All right, we are back, and we're going to be going through this series of quick questions and answers called the trifecta. We want you to get us started first by talking about your favorite technology that you use in business that helps make your life easier every day.
So I'm not sure if it's really a technology as much as a marketing platform, but we've done really, really well with Google AdWords. And so if that is a certain software, technology, or whatever, then I would definitely say that.
What's a favorite quote that has helped you as an entrepreneur?
I'd say two of them: focus on the few, not the many, and doubt cramps energy. And the doubt cramps energy was super important because I realized whenever I do have doubt that I'm probably not making great decisions.
Mm-hmm. And what's a favorite book that has helped you make better decisions as an entrepreneur?
So I really like Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. It talks about frame, NLP, social status, and hierarchies. It's really an amazing book.
Pitch Anything.
Correct.
Okay. And what's the next thing for you right now on your vision or dream board?
We're on a fast track to our 10-year plan, and it looks like we may hit that in 6 or 7. And so at that point, we'll start to reconfigure and analyze what we want to do next. But right now, we're on the fast track on going exactly where we're going.
Great. Well, how can the listeners reach out to you if they want to contact you or get some more information about you?
Yeah, I have a podcast, Investor Creator, with Brad Smotherman. We talk about real estate, notes, negotiation, that kind of thing. Also, if you're so inclined, add me as a friend on Facebook, Brad Smotherman. Happy to have you there. Great.
Well, we'll make sure we have those links and stuff like that inside of the show notes for this episode as well. And I want to thank you again, Bradley, for coming on and being a part of our podcast as well.
Thanks, Dan. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.